Would you let a coin flip decide the future of your life or your career? Probably not, but maybe you should. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some research and career development for your pharmacy future.
Call it.
Call it?
Yes.
For what?
Just call it.
Well, we need to know what we're calling it for here.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. Well, it wouldn't be fair.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it.
That was a clip from No Country for Old Men, and in it, the villain of the movie is obsessed with the nature of his work, killing people, but I think he's gotten to the point in this movie where he's a little bit tired of killing people. And so he allows chance, i.e. flipping of a coin, to decide a person's fate. And on the side, I think he's already decided his fate in the movie, but he still allows this scene to play out. Now, for you and I, this probably sounds insane to go that far, to allow chance to determine whether someone lives or dies. It literally does sound like fiction. And yet, maybe there is wisdom in allowing a flipping of a coin to decide what happens to a future. Stephen Levitt, who is the professor of economics at the University of Chicago and author of the very popular book and series Freakonomics, has done quite a bit of research in the world of chance and how that influences people's decision. And in one study, he discovers what flipping a coin will do for decisions that people struggle with answering. The title of it is Heads or Tails: The Impact of a Coin Toss on Major Life Decisions and Subsequent Happiness. So what he did through this study is he asked a lot of people online to fill out a survey and commit to a process where they were given different questions that they were struggling with. And they were going to allow a flipping of a coin to decide whether or not they would choose to do something. They had questions like buying a house, staying with someone in a relationship. And the question that I find very interesting is, should I quit my job? Can you imagine? You have this question in your mind, something that is very significant, right? Your income, how you make a living, how you go about day to day, paying your taxes, living in the house that you have, paying for your kids' school if you do that, paying for a car. Everything is wrapped up in this decision. And yet these people decided, I'm going to let a coin flip decide if I stay in my job or not. But what I find so interesting about this study is this question of, should I stay in my job? You see, those people who flipped the coin and said, yes, I am going to stay, versus those who said, no, I'm not going to stay, I'm going to quit, they found that there was a significant difference in subsequent happiness 6 months after the event. Those people who quit their jobs and decided to get into probably something else, or maybe they took a break, who knows, that 6 months after the event, there was nearly a 2-point difference on a scale of 0 to 10 on their subsequent happiness. And antidepressive medication would be throwing parties for years if they could accomplish something like this. In table 3, you can see the difference was 1.89, statistically different between the two groups. I mean, it is an amazing difference. 2 points of happiness. I don't know what that looks like for you. I'm trying to imagine myself. I think I'm an 8 today. Imagine being at a 10. Wow, that'd be crazy. But for you, what does this mean? Well, I think I'd like to take a moment and just ask, why does the question appear? Why do we wonder if we should change jobs? Well, it goes back to our discussion about burnout that we had, right? There is a mismatch between what we feel like we are as people versus what we do. And I think that these questions are good things, right? I think we question all sorts of really difficult things. Should I stay with my wife or my husband? Is God real? Why did my daughter have to die? What is it that will make me feel fulfilled in my life? What is my life's purpose? These are tough questions. And just because you feel them or wonder them doesn't mean that you should condemn yourself for doing so. It isn't wrong to question these things, but what could be wrong is ignoring them or not really addressing them fully. But these questions come because we know that something's off. Something is wrong deep down in our souls that says something's off and I'm not sure what the right path forward is. I want to share with you a story about a pharmacist named Rizwan. Now, Rizzy, my boy, he grew up in a tough home. He saw his mother raise him, and unfortunately his father had left him to be raised by his mother alone, and his mom really struggled. Watching his mother do everything she could to give him the best of opportunities really struck home with him, and he always wanted his mother to be happy. He grew up really wanting to impress her by doing well in school, by striving hard, by working hard. And one day he had hoped that his mom wouldn't have to struggle so much. He saw opportunity in the field of pharmacy, and he thought, oh, if I'm a pharmacist, not only can I live off of that income, but I can also help my mother out. And it felt like to him that this was the best possible career path for him. So Rizwan studies hard in high school. He studies even harder in college, and he gets accepted to pharmacy school, and he goes through 4 years of rigorous work, all the while working, supporting his mother and himself through this experience. He graduates with a significant sum, unfortunately, of debt, but he jumps into the workforce. And time goes on, and things start happening to him that he just doesn't like, but he doesn't know what to do about it. Work becomes more of a struggle. He finds himself struggling to be positive at his day job, but knowing that he needs to stay committed to it, because if he quits, well, then not only is he not taking care of himself, he isn't taking care of his mother. Time goes on further, and he's finding his work to be more and more annoying. And at the end of the day, he realizes something deeply disturbing about his job. He's no longer helping people. He is helping the company make more money. You see, Rizwan deep down loves helping people, and he can't do that in his job. His purpose is mismatched with his job, and that is where this question appears. Should I quit? Should I go looking for something else? And it is right to appear, because it is asking the question, why is this mismatch happening? Why am I not liking this work? But on the flip side of that, is it because that life is tough that we ask it? You know, a common phrase my mom always says is, and this is where we need to get a recording of my mother, says,
life's hard, then you die.
And I secretly hated that phrase. Unfortunately, it's stuck with me. I've said it in college when I left home. I've said it now to my kids. Life is hard and then you die. And I really don't like that negative perspective, because it kind of makes you feel like a victim, like I can't change my circumstances. Work is hard and it's challenging. And sometimes you think, is it so challenging that I can't achieve, right? I think any endeavor in life is meant to make you question whether or not you're doing the right thing. Heck, as I do this podcast, I doubt myself and I think, is this really what needs to be said? Or how are people going to twist what I say and make something different out of it or turn it against me? I think everyone goes to work at some point and wonders, is this the right thing for me to do? Maybe it is a family member falling ill and you you can't take the vacation time to take care of them. Maybe it's a bully at work that just isn't getting better. Or maybe it is a demotivated working environment where everyone around you is just not pushing forward, and it's affecting you. It's making you feel complacent in what you do. I think the question is legitimate, because if you have been consistently asking yourself, should I quit? Or maybe you think, I want to quit, and you've thought it long enough, maybe months, if not well over a year, I think the answer is yes, you should. But it seems foolish, right, to not quit and not have a backup plan, to just say tomorrow I'm going to quit. And yet, what I find so interesting is, as I've been posting things more on LinkedIn and I've been talking with more pharmacists, I find a lot of people quit and sometimes they don't have any plan at all. I just met a pharmacist the other day named Tori Wreck. I believe that's how you say her last name. And she really inspired me. She is a pharmacist. She's also a mother. And she told me that, she was working and just said, I had had enough. She didn't really have much of a backup plan, but now she's out there and she's coaching people and she's helping people fight anxiety in a holistic fashion. She's getting paid to do so. While I don't recommend just to quit and have no plan in place, I think there is wisdom there, because when you do quit, you all of a sudden have energy to pursue the things that you want to do. In fact, what's really interesting about career development is once that spark is lit in someone and they go, I'm excited. I want to pursue more things. I want to be a part of an association and solve a problem. I want to start a group of other pharmacists who are like-minded like me. Is all of a sudden new things happen to them and they get into a new job and they have that energy to pursue new and better things. Many times I find pharmacists will get into a new job and they'll start a business on the side. They'll want either a consulting gig or they will just start something completely brand new. Tracy, who I just spoke about in a previous podcast, has transitioned into a new job and now has the energy to start a business where her and her fiance have created this very interesting Airbnb / ambulance renovation business where they rent out these ambulances that have been renovated to hold 4 people in them, and they allow people to rent out these trucks. And it's funny, it's amazing, and it's really weird and interesting. But when you get into that new job that's engaging you, you all of a sudden have more energy to pursue greater and bigger things. So that's what's on the other side of quitting. Because when you quit, you no longer have that stress, right? I mean, we talked about this previously in the burnout episode as well, that remove yourself in the environment and you can finally feel free again. Stephen Levitt says at the conclusion of his study, quote, if the results are correct, then admonitions such as winners never quit and quitters never win, while well-meaning, may actually be extremely poor advice. The fact that those people in this survey didn't quit their jobs after flipping that coin and they stayed in it were less happy than those who did quit, I think shows us some inner wisdom here, that this question appearing tells you that there is something else out there for you, that you can pursue something and grow your career and transition into something great. I don't know if that means that you need to get a certificate or you need to join an association or you need to meet with someone who's doing something interesting and help them, but something has to change. The question asked long enough should probe you to do something. My father really struggles with worry. And one of the things that he's learned over the 50 years that he's battled with over worrying about things is that he knows that if he doesn't take action, then nothing will change and he will continue to worry. But by putting hope in the action, it removes the worry because he knows that something will improve, something will get better. And if it fails, well, then you can always try again. You don't need to stay where you are. You can change, you can move, you can improve your career. And there are things that are available to you to do so. By joining our mini course about transitions and about how you can start this process, go to thehappypharmd.com/start. And in it, I share the things that we've learned from coaching well over 500 pharmacists about career transitions. And I'd love for you to be a part of this journey. So click the link, join the group, and be a part of this new wave of pharmacists who are choosing to do different things with with their career. My name is Alex Barker. This is the Happy PharmD podcast, and I want to thank you for listening. I'd love to hear from you. How long have you considered quitting your job? If you've had this question, when does it come up worse? Or how long has it come up? Do you think this study that Stephen did is really worth listening to? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. This has been your host, Alex Barker. I am a pharmacist. I'm happy to be here, and I'm a part of the Happy PharmD, and I'm excited to see where you end up next in your career. Again, thanks for listening. Sayonara.